Hello and welcome to track breakdown number 2. In this breakdown, we're going to be looking at Destiny, a track by Netsky and Subfocus, off of Netsky's newest album, Second Nature. Let's go! I had no idea whether to make this like a track breakdown video or just like a random one-off how to make a dance floor tune. But I think it makes sense if I can follow the aesthetic of track breakdowns and then just call them track breakdown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You get it. No coffee had been consumed prior making this video, so this is just my normal energy level. Maybe I'm just hyped. Maybe I'm just hyped to make another video. Anyway, boys and girls, someone on Discord DM'd me asking me to go through the process of how I remade this, so that's what I'm going to do. This video will not be as long as my previous remake of... What was the other one I made? Just Hold On, because I'm only remaking the drop, because that's all you guys really want, you drop gremlins. So here we go. You've been hearing it the entire time I've been speaking, but here we go. This is what it sounds like. Lovely. So let's start with the leads, shall we? Supersaurs. This track is full of them. Easiest way to make a Supersaur, FL Studio, as you can see what I'm using. Let's go to Harmor. Harmor is like my main area for Supersaurs. It just has the easiest way to make it, and you just go to the default setting here. I hope you can see this. And then you go to Order, you turn your Unison to 9, and then you change your Pan to Max. You change your Phase to Max. Change this distribution to uniform, so everything's nice and smart, and that's your Supersaur, and that is routed to number 16, and this one has transient master at 43% or 44, whatever. That's just to make the initial stabs hit harder. That's the easiest way I can say it. There's also wider, which is just to make the sound wider, which is really good for not messing up your stereo phase. So when you goes into mono phase, so this doesn't affect the mono phase. So if I were to use like some sort of stereo separation tool, like the FL one, and then put it into mono, you might hear some weird phase cancellation sort of stuff going on. But this gets rid of it, or doesn't introduce that issue. So wider by Infected Mushroom, I think it's free. Get it. Fab filter, 200 hertz, and then 1400 hertz, or 1406. What? Why can't I speak? You can see it. 14607. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, that's Supersaur number 1. Supersaur number 2. That is doing a weird melody. You'd probably be like, what do you mean? Why are you doing this melody? It makes no sense. But listen. You hearing that, you're probably like, that doesn't sound anything like the song. There's no part in the song that has that melody. And you'll be right, because this is a harmonic. So what this is doing is just thickening. All this is doing is thickening up the main lead to make it sound bigger. And I believe, I'm not even sure if it's doing this in the original track. I just did it because I know this is one way of making your lead sound bigger, adding more harmonics, taking up more of the frequency range, yada, yada, yada. This Supersaur is exactly the same as the first one. It's just being routed to number 17, which also has wider at 74%, transient master again at 43, and fab filter at 267 hertz. So that's what that's doing. That's your second Supersaur. Your third Supersaur, Serum. So that is the main body of the lead. This is what sounds the most like the actual lead. The Supersaur beforehand was just kind of like an addition to the actual whole thing. But easy to make this. When you load up Serum, you give the initial, I think that's what it stands for, initial. Something like that, I don't know. It'll give you this wavetable, which is just a saw. Make your unison 16. Set your detune to plus 0.14. Set your blend to 75. Everything else stays the same. Go to your global settings and set your mode to super. And there's a reason you do that. I just can't remember it. Kagan told me a while ago, and my memory's bad. So this Supersaur is linked to number 17 as well. So it has the same plugins as the previous one, Supersaur number 2. Nothing changing there. And this reverb is at 46%. So it's being routed to the same reverb as before. The next set of leads is actually a group of chords, which is this one right here. You see that? Saw chords. So that sounds like this. So I think I'm hearing this in the original song, and I'm definitely hearing it towards the end of the phrases when it's coming towards like the next phrase. It might not be so much on the initial parts of the phrase because it's very clean and nothing's really going on. It's just very full of the original melody and drums and stuff. But this does deepen the actual sound to make it not sound so empty, especially for this project for me. So yeah, this is what this is playing. I'm not going to name these. You can just see this. These are the notes it's playing. This is made on Sylenth. So this is made on this pad called Anjuna pad, which is from this preset pack that I use quite often. Custom Adam Van Baker Sylenth 1 Sound Set Part 2. Don't know where I got it. Got it like 6 years ago. But it's down here. Number 25, Anjuna pad. And that's being routed to number 18 here. That has a fab filter cutting off at 252 and 10,532. Got it that time. Hesitated. So this has actually got no reverb. It's just got a bit of a tail on its original sound. So the release is a bit longer, which might sound like it has reverb, but doesn't. Yep, that's the chord. Okay, bass stab. This part's fun. So this bass stab sounds like this. This bass stab was made on Serum. Serum's great for basses. You guys already know this. So, oscillator. I've got A and B. Oscillator 1, or A, is only one voice. It's just a saw, and it's being controlled by the envelope number 1. Oscillator B, the only difference is that it's an octave higher and it's 7 semitones up. So it's actually playing a harmonic, which is more, if I turn it up, you'll find it's more obvious to hear, but right now it's quite subtle, but it just adds some more like width to the sound. Envelope number 1, 0.5 ms on the attack, 0 on the hold, 1.13 s on the decay, and minus 42.3 dB on sustain. The release is pretty short, just so it doesn't clip. If it turns down to, if you make the release 0, you'll get like a clicking noise every time, which is bad. So always have a tiny bit of release. Both of those oscillators are routed to the filter, which is MG low 12. Envelope number 1 is actually routed to the cutoff of this as well. So that's why this is what's controlling the filter. So you'll see there. This is basically what's doing that. The filter, the cutoff is set to, I don't know what you'd call that, like what, 8 o'clock? And then the actual max of it goes to about 2 o'clock. And what's making it give that vocal sound is the resonance filter. So it's this part here, which is set to 30%, 29%. So if I turn that up, you'll hear. So you want that sort of vocal sound to it. That's what gives it that wow, wow, wow. Excuse my crazy mouth effects. Oscillator B, if I turn it up, you'll hear the harmonic. But we want it to be super subtle. So this is why it's turned down to 30%. This is being routed to number 32. I am just religious with OTT for some reason. So that is 100% depth with 12 dB increase. So I don't have to overdrive it so much on this. Saturn is added onto this. This is just the default setting, which is about 20%. Fab filter is cutting off at 148 Hertz. And I'm giving some dips to reduce the sort of body of it because it's quite thick. And yeah, I just don't want it to be as thick as it is. Increasing some of the, this is the more harmonic area of the bass stab. And then wider, again, this is a bit of a cheat code. If you've got a bass, you want it to sound big, and with it being mono compatible, wider, it's the shit. So I've got wider set to 48% here, which is giving the sound the width that I want without it having any phase issues. So it's the one. It's the one. The other bass, which is just the sub, I pretty much always do my subs the same way. This is made on 3x oscillator. So this is just playing one sub note or one sine wave. The other ones here are turned down to 0. So it's only playing one voice. The envelope for the volume is playing a like that. You can hear it goes down. This is just the decay is set to 50%. Because it's also a stab. I also wanted the sub to be a stab to follow the same sort of fundamental as the original bass stab. This is being routed to this number 40 here, blood overdrive at almost 50%, and then taking down the post gain to also 50% or 0.5 minus 0.5. So it reduces the overall gain, because when you preamp this, it gets super loud. So this is just balancing out the sound. Fab filter is cutting off at 900 hertz just because I don't want any higher harmonics of the distorted sine to come in. And then the send is just it's using a P controller, so the kick reduces the overall volume when the kick triggers. So it's just a sidechain. Yeah, that's the sub and the bass. Drums. We're onto the drums now. So the drums, these are just an amalgamation of other drums that I've made, and I put them towards this project. So if you don't know already, I've made a remake of Take It Up. You can see the name here, Take It Up. So these are the drums that I made for that project, and I've taken and put onto this project because there's quite a bit of similarities. There's not really much detail I can go into how I process these because they've already been processed, but I'll go over. So here's the kick. Quite short, thuddy. The transient master is set to 35%. Just to get the attack to be a bit sharper. And there's a fab filter with a 7.7 decrease, 7.7K decrease, just to remove some of the harshness of the high end of that kick. The snare drum, which is this one. That one is also another transient master at 57%, pretty high. I've also increased the gain so I don't have to overdrive it so much. I did this the same for the kick as well. I always increase the gain on the plugins so I don't have to increase the fader so much on FL Studio. Fab filter, there's an increase on the fundamental, about 2.9 dB around where the fundamental hits. And again, just to reduce the harshness, there's another dip at 7.2K here. This snare is also layered in with another snare from Addictive Drums. That drum has been tuned to be exactly the same pitch as the original snare drum, so that when they layer, it thickens up the sound, so the fundamental hits harder, and it's just a general thicker snare drum. You can just see there in the same pattern. I've just got lazy. I've just put it in the same pattern here, but the hat here just adds some movement to the drum beat. That's what it's doing at different velocities. I've changed here, so it's meant to sound. That hat is just on its own. It's been routed. It doesn't really have any effects. And all the other loops that you can see here, you can see hat grooves, or groove, because I spelt it wrong. There's hat loops again, shine loops, which is just the high-end, shimmery top-end sort of cymbals. And then there's splash loops, which is similar, just has a bit more movement, like dynamics in them. There are some reverse open hi-hats, which add to the movement of the drum beat. You'll hear it has like a swish coming into the first snare. Similar, you hear that on house music, like that was weird. Let's skip that. And there's a ride cymbal being hit every, I don't know, what is this even called? Why am I so bad with naming conventions? but you'll hear it there. I'll just play the tops on their own. So that's what the tops sound. All together. Clean. I should add that the 2 snare drums are being routed to their own send. So it's this one here, which is not got any effects on it. It's just being routed to the reverb send, which is part of the drum reverb, which is a very short Valhalla room, 0.95, and then really just under 5,000 hertz in the high cut, 100% depth. It's noticeable. It does give some nice character to the snare drum, and it's nice to put a dry snare in a environment that makes it sound lifelike. It's quite a big difference. Gives us a nice room. So that's how the drums are processed. So everything past here will be sounds that you try to fill up, like atmospheric sounds or just little sparkly bits, whatever. So there are 2 in particular. So I found there's an atmospheric sound, which is just like a vocal. I think it's from Vengeance Essentials. And that is being routed to 71. And there's LFO Tool, which has got this at a rate of 1 out of 2. Fab Filter, which is cutting off the low frequencies at 269. And then there's also this other vocal stab sound, which I got from the Medics pack. And that's being routed to 72. There's a manipulator on it, just pitching it up by 12 and making the wet 47%. And that has a Fab Filter of 437 on the low cut. And then the high cut is 9,000. So the very last thing we have on this tutorial is the vocal synth, which is not even necessary because I tried to remake a vocal that they put in using an actual vocal, and I tried to remake it as a synth, which is not, it's not going to be very close, but it's the part that sounds like this. But on its own, it's a pretty cool sound actually, because it can be used for anything. Yeah, no, you can just mess around with that. Yeah. So oscillator A is a square. Oscillator B is an E-yeah, or also known as a oh, yeah. So the square has 1 voice, and envelope 2 is attached to the sync modulation of that modulator, if that makes sense. It is from the range of 9 o'clock to about 11 o'clock. And the settings down here are 0.5 ms on the attack, 0 on the hold, 957 ms on the decay, 0% on sustain, and 15 ms on the release. The E-yeah has a unison of 5 and a detune around, well, 0.04. And it also is an octave higher, so it's +1 on the octave. The portamento is also set to always, and the scaled is also checked, and the curve is around 30%. That's being routed to number 6, and that has OTT on it at 32% depth and 10.6 dB, so I don't have to overdrive it, as I said before. And the Fab Filter is cutting off at 70 hertz. That should be higher. That could be up to like there at 200 or so. And then also cutting off any too high-end stuff at 20,000. That's as far as we can really go anyway. And yeah, that's it. That's being routed to the synth reverb, which is over here at 39%. And that again, Valhalla room, 2 seconds decay, high cut of 8,000 hertz, depth of 100%, and similar settings from my reverb here, increasing the sides so it's more widthy. And with that, we are at the end of the tutorial / track breakdown. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've won knowledge. If you haven't made it this far, doesn't matter, because you wouldn't have seen this anyway. But thank you everyone for watching so far. It's cool to make. It's also skill building for me because I'm finding better ways to make these videos without taking so much time. So this one only took me 6 hours. The next one, you'll have to let me know which one you want me to do. Feel Alive might be cool. I was asked to do a Disposed as well. Hopefully the project file still opens for that. But yeah, it's been fun. And I'll catch you on the next track breakdown. Peace.